On a sweltering summer afternoon, a neighborhood pool became the stage for an incident no one could have imagined. A place meant for relaxation and joy was turned into a scene of humiliation where a 15-year-old girl found herself singled out, shamed, and stripped of her dignity by someone who believed authority gave her the right to control. Little did Karen know the girl's older brother wasn't just someone who would defend her. He was a man whose decisions carried the weight of law. And when the truth came out, this so-called HOA leader would regret ever crossing that family. Kevin Brooks was known in his community not just for his intelligence, but for his unwavering sense of justice. As a respected judge, he believed fairness wasn't just something practiced in a courtroom. It was meant for every corner of society. His younger sister, Vanessa, at only 15, was bright, shy, and still learning how cruel the world could sometimes be. That Saturday, Kevin dropped Vanessa off at the community swimming pool. He wanted her to enjoy herself, unaware that one individual, the type every neighborhood dreads, had made it her mission to patrol the pool as though it belonged only to her. Her name was Karen, a white American woman who prided herself on being the self-appointed protector of the community. From lawn decorations to parking disputes, she always found ways to assert control. The HOA technically gave her authority, but Karen took it further, ruling from a place of arrogance mixed with a disturbing sense of superiority. So when Vanessa walked through the gates in her new swimsuit, nervous but excited to finally join her friends, Karen saw something she could sink her teeth into. What began as innocent whispers turned into stares, until Karen's eyes narrowed with the cold intent of someone who had decided that this child, this young girl, didn't belong. And as Kevin returned home, unaware of what was happening, his baby sister was about to experience a humiliation no child should endure at the hands of someone convinced she could control who was welcome and who wasn't. The pool was buzzing that afternoon, kids splashing, parents chatting, and lifeguards scanning the water. Vanessa slipped into the shallow end, a smile creeping across her face. After weeks of asking her brother if she could come, it felt good to finally be there. Her swimsuit was simple, modest, and brand new. For the first time in a while, she felt confident. That's when Karen marched over. With the authority of someone who believed her word was law, she commanded attention. A hush fell over the chairs closest to her, and whispers trickled across the pool deck. In a voice loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, she demanded that Vanessa stand up. Karen's accusation wasn't about safety or rules. It was a performance. She declared Vanessa's attire inappropriate for the pool. Her claim didn't make sense, but by using loaded words like improper and unacceptable, she signaled to everyone what she really thought. Vanessa didn't fit her narrow vision of who belonged in that space. Red-faced and trembling, Vanessa tried to retreat back into the water, but Karen pressed harder, insisting she leave immediately or change into something more suitable. With every word, more eyes turned. Kids giggled, parents looked away, and the atmosphere that once felt joyful morphed into suffocating shame. Eventually, Vanessa fled to the restroom in tears. Alone, she felt the sting of humiliation sink deep into her chest. While other kids laughed freely, she sat crying, wondering why she had been singled out for such cruelty. Kevin returned not long after to pick her up. At first, Vanessa didn't want to tell him what happened, but the redness in her eyes betrayed her silence. When she finally broke and poured out every detail, how Karen humiliated her in front of strangers, and how no one had stood up for her, Kevin's calm exterior cracked. He felt a rage that only grows from witnessing someone beloved be wronged. But Kevin Brooks was not just an older brother. He was a federal judge, a man trained to weigh fairness and enforce justice. And he knew that this wasn't just about a swimsuit. It was about power, prejudice, and a pattern of racial discrimination that Karen had perfected in her role as a gatekeeper of the HOA. What Karen didn't know was that her public spectacle had just set in motion a reckoning she could never have predicted. The following week, Karen strutted into the HOA meeting as though nothing had happened, but her confidence was shattered when she spotted Kevin sitting quietly in the back. His presence wasn't casual, it was deliberate. When the floor opened for community concerns, Kevin rose. The room fell silent. With calm precision, he began not with fury, but with facts. He recounted step by step how Karen had humiliated a 15-year-old girl in a public setting under the guise of HOA authority. He reminded the board that leadership comes with responsibility, not the license for harassment or discrimination. Neighbors shifted uncomfortably, recalling other times Karen had targeted families she deemed outsiders. The weight of Kevin's words made them reconsider their silence. One by one, witnesses stepped forward, acknowledging the cruelty they had watched. The HOA board, cornered by truth and legal expertise, could no longer ignore the damage Karen had inflicted. And then came the turning point. Kevin revealed his position as a judge. His voice, steady and resolute, carried the authority of someone who did not tolerate injustice. He warned that discriminatory practices, even under neighborhood bylaws, could carry very real consequences. Her actions weren't just offensive, they were unlawful. Karen, who once commanded with smug arrogance, now sat red-faced, shrinking in her chair, her reign of intimidation unraveling before her community. Her weapon of faux authority had been dismantled by real authority, the kind that sought justice, not control. The aftermath rippled across the neighborhood. Karen's once feared position was removed, and her name became synonymous with humiliation, but not the kind she had inflicted on Vanessa. Her downfall demonstrated that unchecked power would eventually collapse under the weight of truth. For Vanessa, healing took time. Incidents like these scarred deeply, especially at such a fragile age. Yet what stuck with her more than Karen's cruelty was her brother's response. She realized that silence only enables injustice, but when truth is spoken boldly, it shines light into the darkest places. Neighbors began to reflect too. For years, many had dismissed Karen's actions as just how she was. But Kevin's intervention forced them to confront their own complicity. Their failure to act had allowed the pattern to continue. Kevin didn't seek revenge. His goal was always justice. He reminded everyone that the measure of a community isn't in its pool rules or HOA regulations, but in how it treats those who are most vulnerable. As Vanessa stepped back into that same pool months later, holding her head higher, people greeted her differently. The stares of judgment were gone, replaced by nods and small smiles. She was no longer just a girl who had been embarrassed. She was the girl who reminded a whole neighborhood that dignity is non-negotiable. And for anyone watching, the story leaves one lingering question. What kind of neighbor will you choose to be? The one that enforces division, or the one that protects dignity with courage?